You need to hear this right now. There's a hidden code in every woman's mind that most men never even notice, and it determines whether she's intrigued by you or completely indifferent. And here's the shocking truth. It's not about how much money you make, how ripped you are, or even how smooth your lines are. It's about 4 simple words, words that most men overlook every single day. But once you understand them, they can change everything in your dating life. Stick with me, because at the end of this video, I'm going to reveal exactly how to use these words to trigger desire, curiosity, and emotional connection instantly. And before we go any further, hit that like button and subscribe, because you're about to learn something almost nobody teaches men. Here's the thing. Women are wired to respond to emotional patterns, not logic. Logic tells her what's safe, predictable, or practical. But desire? Desire comes from uncertainty, intrigue, and the subtle signals that make her feel emotionally alive around you. Most men sabotage themselves without even realizing it. They talk too much, try too hard, or show up in ways that make them predictable. And predictability kills attraction. It's the silent killer that makes her see you as just another guy. Now, think about the last time you felt instantly drawn to someone. It wasn't because they listed their achievements or told you how amazing they are. No, it was a flicker in the conversation, a subtle hint, a small word, a tone, a glance that made your brain spike with curiosity. That's what these 4 words do. They don't just attract attention. They plant an emotional seed that grows into fascination. And the fascinating part? Once you understand them, women can't help but notice you, even if they're pretending not to. Most men are blind to this because they focus on the wrong things. They overcomplicate attraction with routines, tips, or flashy gestures. They think confidence is standing tall or having a perfect physique. But real attraction, lasting, magnetic attraction, starts with understanding how she experiences desire. It's subtle, psychological, invisible to everyone else. And these 4 words, they're the trigger. They bypass resistance, bypass judgment, and hit her subconscious in ways that most men can't even imagine. Here's your first challenge. Observe yourself. How often do you communicate in ways that are predictable? How often do your words make her feel safe, but bored? Safe is comfortable. Bored is dead. Desire lives in the tension between intrigue and emotional connection, and these 4 words are the spark that creates that tension. Master them, and you stop being another guy. You become someone she thinks about, talks about, and, without even realizing it, wants to be around. And this is just the beginning, because if you stick to the end of this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to say these words, in the exact tone and timing, so that attraction skyrockets, even if she's playing hard to get, even if she's not that interested, even if she's been burned by other men before. This isn't theory, this isn't fluff, this is female psychology exposed, the way it really works. Most men fail because they never truly understand what women crave beneath the surface. Not attention, not compliments, not even commitment. What she craves, what triggers her deepest attraction, is to feel understood on a level she can't consciously explain. And here's the catch. If you give her understanding the wrong way, she'll take it as pity. If you give it too obviously, she'll dismiss it. Desire is a delicate, invisible game, and it's played in moments most men ignore. Think about her past experiences. Every woman carries an invisible checklist of what excites her and what triggers caution. She's constantly scanning for patterns in behavior, tone, and subtle cues. And here's where most men get it wrong. They focus on external markers, looks, money, humor, while missing the internal emotional signals that actually determine whether she's drawn to you or not. Attraction doesn't happen in the surface conversation. It happens in the gaps between words, in the unspoken tension, in the tiny psychological triggers that make her brain say, "I need to know more about him." These 4 words we're talking about, they exploit exactly that gap. They're not manipulative in the way you think. They don't trick her. They resonate with her subconscious needs. They make her feel seen without feeling exposed. They make her curious without feeling pressured. And here's the kicker. When used correctly, they create an almost magnetic pull. Suddenly, she starts interpreting your every move through the lens of intrigue. You become someone she notices, even when you're silent. You become someone she subconsciously evaluates constantly. And the beauty is, she doesn't even realize it's happening. Most men think attraction is a game of effort. They think they need to chase, impress, or perform. But desire doesn't work that way. Desire works quietly, invisibly, in moments she can't explain. It's why a woman might laugh at another guy's joke but feel nothing and yet get inexplicably drawn to someone who said one small thing differently, one small line, one carefully timed word. That line, that word, is a psychological key. It opens doors most men don't even know exist. Here's what separates men who succeed from men who fail: awareness. Awareness of how she experiences attraction. Awareness of her subconscious emotional triggers. Awareness of the small but potent signals that make her feel alive. Most men never develop this awareness because they're trapped in conventional thinking. I need to look good, say the right thing, impress her. But real attraction is subtler. It's psychological. It's almost invisible to the untrained eye. And these 4 words, they cut straight through the noise, straight to her subconscious, creating a spark that most men never even see. Right now, you have a choice. You can keep doing what you've always done. Predictable words, predictable patterns, predictable rejection. Or you can start noticing the invisible threads of desire, the subtle patterns that most men miss, and begin using these words to create an emotional pull so strong she can't ignore it. Stick with me because in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how to deliver these words so they hit with maximum effect, timing, tone, and context all included. Now let's get real. You might think you've tried everything: jokes, charm, showing off, even overanalyzing every text. But here's the truth. None of that works unless you understand the way her mind is wired. Attraction isn't about impressing her consciously. It's about bypassing her conscious filter and speaking directly to her subconscious. Those 4 words I've been hinting at, they aren't just words. They're psychological triggers, tiny switches that flip inside her mind and make her pay attention in a way she can't articulate. Think about it like this. Her mind is a fortress. She's been conditioned to filter out men who are just talking or trying too hard. She's scanning for safety, stability, and reliability. But those qualities alone don't ignite desire. Desire needs tension. Desire needs curiosity. Desire needs the spark of uncertainty wrapped in security. These 4 words create exactly that. A moment of intrigue that leaves her brain buzzing. And the magic? She doesn't even consciously realize it's happening. She just feels drawn, intrigued, alive. Most men blow it because they misunderstand how subtle this has to be. You don't shout these words. You don't over-explain them. You don't plaster them in a text. Desire is delicate. Timing is everything. The right word in the wrong moment. Ignored. The right word in the perfect moment. Instant magnetic pull. It's almost unfair how powerful this is. One small verbal spark can make her remember you in a way she doesn't remember anyone else. She'll replay it in her mind, feel that emotional tingle, and suddenly she's evaluating all her interactions through the lens of curiosity you planted. Here's another truth most men refuse to admit. Attraction is psychological first, physical second. You could be average looking, even flawed, and still pull her in deeply if you understand the triggers of her subconscious desire. You could walk into a room, say almost nothing, and make her feel an emotional jolt she doesn't fully understand. That's what mastery of these 4 words does. It creates a ripple effect. She doesn't just like you, she thinks about you, wonders about you, seeks you out without realizing why. And once she's hooked on that emotional tension, everything else, dates, intimacy, connection, becomes easier. And this is why most men fail. They give her what they think she wants instead of what she actually craves on a deep psychological level. They over-deliver attention, over-explain, or show too much eagerness. Desire collapses under predictability. You need to create a pattern of intrigue. You need to make her brain work a little to understand you. You need to make her feel that small emotional pull that she can't resist. These 4 words, when timed perfectly, do exactly that. Right now, take a moment and imagine the difference. Imagine walking into a conversation, a text, even a casual encounter, knowing you have the words to trigger fascination almost instantly. Imagine the subtle shift in her gaze, the tiny pause, the spark in her voice, the emotional tension building without a single overt gesture. That's power. That's psychology. That's attraction done at the highest level. And in the next section, I'm going to break down how to set the stage for these words so they hit like a trigger every single time. This is where most men completely miss the mark. They know the words, they've read tips, watched videos, tried lines, but they fail to understand that words alone are powerless without context. It's not just what you say, it's when, how, and under what conditions. Timing and emotional framing are everything. You could whisper the words at the wrong moment, in the wrong tone, and she'll either ignore them or feel confused. But deliver them with precision, and suddenly you're no longer just another man. Suddenly, you're magnetic. Every woman has emotional rhythms. Her attention rises and falls in patterns that are invisible to the untrained eye. Most men miss these signals because they think attraction is linear. I say something, she reacts, I get a response. But real attraction is dynamic. It's subtle. It's felt more than it's observed. And here's the key. These 4 words are like a psychological lever. They don't just exist in the conversation. They activate her emotional rhythm. They create a moment where her mind is forced to notice, to pause, to analyze you on a level she doesn't consciously control. Think about the last time someone caught your attention unexpectedly. Maybe it was a glance, a tone of voice, or a single comment that made your brain perk up. You didn't consciously decide to be intrigued. You just were. That's exactly what these words do for women. Delivered at the right moment, in the right tone, they bypass her logical filter and speak directly to her desire. And the timing doesn't have to be complicated. It's subtle cues, her tone, her energy, the flow of the conversation. You're not forcing intrigue, you're amplifying it. Most men fail because they ignore these invisible cues. They think attraction is a checklist: smile, compliment, joke, repeat. But desire doesn't work like that. Desire thrives in unpredictability, in small doses of uncertainty paired with emotional connection. These words create a micro-tension, a spark that makes her want to lean in, to engage, to discover more. And the most powerful part? She often doesn't realize what she's feeling. She just knows she's drawn. She just feels a subtle pull she can't shake. That's the invisible architecture of attraction, and you're about to learn how to build it deliberately. Here's a truth most men will never accept. You don't win her interest by being loud, flashy, or overbearing. You win it by understanding her subconscious, by feeling her emotional shifts, and by delivering subtle triggers at precisely the right moment. It's like being a conductor of a hidden symphony, guiding her attention without her ever realizing she's being led. And when you combine that with these 4 words, the ones that spark curiosity, you step into a realm of attraction that most men only dream about. Right now, you have the opportunity to master not just what to say, but how to orchestrate desire. In the next section, I'm going to reveal exactly how to craft the lead-up, the subtle build-up, the way you frame interactions, the invisible cues that prime her subconscious, so that when you finally say the words, they land with almost hypnotic effect. Most men jump straight to talking about themselves, showing off, or trying to impress, and then wonder why she's not interested. Here's the hard truth. Attraction isn't a performance. It's an emotional experience. And experiences aren't created by words alone. They're created by patterns, pacing, and tension. Before you ever say those 4 powerful words, you need to prime her subconscious, to set the stage, to build an invisible gravitational pull she can't resist. Priming her subconscious isn't manipulation. It's understanding how her brain experiences desire. Every woman carries a hidden emotional map. She's constantly evaluating safety, curiosity, and novelty. If you flood her with overt effort, she feels safe but bored. If you ignore her completely, she feels unpredictable but disconnected. The magic happens in between, the space where her mind is drawn to figure you out, where uncertainty dances with emotional connection. That's where desire is born, and that's where you plant the seeds before dropping the 4 words. You start by creating small moments of tension without pressure. Notice her reactions, the tilt of her head, the tone of her voice, the pause before she responds. These are signals, subtle often invisible, but they tell you exactly where she's emotionally. A simple touch, a well-placed pause, or even leaving a question slightly unanswered triggers curiosity. Your goal is to guide her mind into a space where she wants to understand you, where she's subconsciously analyzing your behavior, tone, and words. That's the invisible groundwork. Here's what most men fail to grasp. Desire isn't logical. She can list reasons why she shouldn't be interested, but her subconscious doesn't care. It reacts to patterns of attention, energy, and emotional tension. By building a subtle rhythm of engagement, small challenges, playful teasing, light mystery, you push her brain into a state of anticipation. And once her mind is primed like this, your 4 words no longer just exist. They detonate inside her subconscious. They resonate. They create an emotional jolt that feels entirely natural to her, yet completely irresistible. The beauty of priming is that it doesn't require grand gestures. It's almost invisible to everyone else, yet profoundly felt by her. A slight change in your tone, a meaningful glance, a carefully timed pause. All of these signal that you're different from other men. You're not predictable. You're not just performing. You're a psychological presence she can't ignore. And when the moment is right, when her mind is already curious, those 4 words act like a key turning in a lock, unlocking attention, intrigue, and emotional pull that she can't consciously resist. So here's your mission. Observe, feel, and respond to her emotional rhythm. Plant tiny sparks of curiosity. Build tension without force. Let her subconscious do the heavy lifting while you guide the experience subtly. And in the next section, I'm going to reveal the exact way to deliver the 4 words, the timing, tone, and emotional framing that makes them land with maximum effect. Once you master this, you move from being noticed to being unforgettable. Now it's time for the part most men will never understand. Knowing the words isn't enough. Delivery is everything. Timing, tone, and context transform ordinary words into a trigger that sparks fascination. Say them wrong and they vanish into the background. Say them right, and suddenly she's analyzing every nuance of your voice, every subtle gesture, and every tiny pause. She doesn't even know why she's captivated, but she is. The first step is tone. Your voice must carry confidence, calmness, and subtle intrigue, not arrogance, not desperation. Think of it as a low hum under the surface of the conversation, noticeable, yet not overpowering. Confidence doesn't shout, it invites. Your words need to land in that zone where she subconsciously thinks there's something different about him. That's the invisible energy that amplifies the power of the 4 words. Next comes timing. You don't drop them at the beginning of a conversation, and you don't drop them out of nowhere. You wait for a micro moment when her attention is fully engaged, but her mind hasn't predicted your next move. Maybe it's after a laugh, a playful challenge, or a moment where she's emotionally invested in the exchange. This is where you've primed her subconscious, built anticipation, and set the emotional rhythm. Those 4 words then become a release, a spark that hits deeper than words alone ever could. Context is the final piece. The words must feel natural within the flow of your interaction. They should seem like the logical next step in your dynamic, not a rehearsed line. That's why most men fail. They focus on memorizing, not feeling. Desire is emotional, not mechanical. You need to feel the moment, understand her energy, and let the words arise organically. That's when they have the maximum effect. She experiences them not as a line, but as a revelation. Here's what happens when you get it right. Her attention locks on. Her curiosity spikes. Her subconscious starts connecting dots you didn't even consciously create. She begins to anticipate your presence, replay your interactions in her mind, and wonder what you'll do or say next. You're no longer just a man she's casually interacting with. You're the one who has planted intrigue in her mind. And the most powerful part? She doesn't realize it's happening. It feels effortless because you made it feel effortless. That's how attraction works on a psychological level. And remember, this isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the hidden mechanics of female psychology and speaking in a language most men never learn. Once you master delivery, the right tone, timing, and context, you stop chasing. She starts noticing. She starts leaning in. She starts wondering. And by the time you've delivered those 4 words perfectly, the emotional tension you've been building explodes into fascination she can't ignore. In the final section, I'll show you how to lock in that fascination long-term so you don't just spark interest, but create a magnetic pull that keeps her thinking about you, wanting more, and drawn to your presence over and over again. Now that you understand the 4 words, the timing, the tone, and the priming, it's time to learn the final step, how to make that fascination stick. Because here's the truth, most men never realize. Sparking curiosity is only half the battle. If you don't know how to sustain it, she'll move on. Forget the intensity, and you'll be back to being just another guy. Lasting attraction is about creating a magnetic pull that keeps her emotionally invested, thinking about you long after the conversation ends. The first secret is consistency in intrigue. You don't need to be predictable, but you do need to be reliably captivating. Leave small gaps, small questions, and small mysteries that make her mind wander toward you when you're not around. The goal isn't to confuse her, it's to keep her emotionally engaged. Desire is maintained through tension, balanced with emotional connection. You want her to feel pulled in, not pressured, curious, not manipulated. That's the difference between men who spark interest and men who command lasting fascination. The second secret is emotional resonance. Every interaction should leave a subtle imprint on her subconscious. Your words, your tone, your energy, they should all carry emotional weight. Think of it like leaving breadcrumbs in her mind. A glance, a carefully chosen comment, a moment of shared humor or insight. These tiny touches create emotional echoes she can't forget. Over time, these echoes compound. She doesn't just like you, she remembers you, often in ways she can't fully articulate. That's the invisible architecture of deep attraction. The third secret is control of pacing. Never reveal everything about yourself too quickly. The men who fail often overshare, over-explain, or try too hard to earn approval. Desire collapses under predictability. Instead, master the art of selective revelation. Share enough to build connection, but keep a layer of mystery. Let her brain work a little to figure you out. Curiosity and anticipation are the engines of fascination. When you combine this with the 4 words delivered perfectly, you create a psychological pull that is almost impossible to resist. Finally, understand the invisible law of emotional gravity. People are drawn to what makes them feel alive, not safe. Safety is boring, predictability is forgettable. But intrigue, tension, subtle power, emotional resonance, these make her feel something powerful. And when you consistently create that emotional experience, she starts associating you with excitement, curiosity, and desire. You move from being noticed to being unforgettable, from being one of many to being the one she can't stop thinking about. Here's the takeaway. Mastery isn't about tricks. It's about understanding her subconscious mind, priming desire, delivering your words with precision, and sustaining fascination over time. Those 4 words are the spark, but the pull, the obsession, the magnetic connection that's built through rhythm, tension, and emotional resonance. If you apply this framework deliberately, you stop chasing. She starts noticing, she starts anticipating, and ultimately, she feels drawn to you in ways most men will never experience. Remember, this isn't just about dating. It's about stepping into a level of psychological understanding and personal presence that makes you magnetic, not by chance, but by design. The power is now in your hands.